In this episode, we're breaking down 3 design trends that Claude AI predicts will dominate sales in 2026. And we've personally validated all 3 of these trends through our own research. So you can feel confident using them as inspiration to make more sales and grow your brand. My name is Adrian Von Arx, here with my co-host Carlos Colon. Welcome to the Print on Demand podcast, a show dedicated to helping you make money online with Shopify and print on demand. Welcome to the Print on Demand podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Carlos, we're going to jump right into it. We actually have a lot to cover on this episode. So we're going to be talking about 3 t-shirt design trends that Claude AI predicts will dominate print on demand sales in 2026. And we still have a long ways to go. There's still a lot of sales to be made in this year. In fact, coming up soon is the biggest shopping occasion of the entire year, the biggest shopping quarter of the entire year, Q4, the last 3 months. This is where many sellers have their biggest sales spikes of the entire year. So these are definitely trends that you should consider jumping on if it makes sense for your brand. So we're going to break this up into 3 parts. So first, I want to give an important AI disclaimer. Second, we're going to reveal the prompt that we use to get these results. And then 3, we'll be revealing 3 t-shirt design trends. So let's just get right into it with part 1 and talk about an AI disclaimer. So it's very important to realize that AI is not always right. We cannot treat AI like it's gospel.
Yeah, totally.
They are going out and they are looking at a bunch of sources on the internet, some good, some bad, some right, some wrong, and then they're collecting information and giving us an answer. And many times they seem very definitive. It seems like, oh wow, it's totally confident that this is definitely the answer. But it's important that you challenge AI. Like you should be challenging AI and you should be validating the responses. So don't just take what it says as truth. Sometimes AI gets things wrong. And I'm sure a lot of you listening, if you're using a lot of AI like us, you know this feeling, right? I've actually had situations like this before where it got it wrong and I called it out and it actually admitted, like it responded like, oops, sorry, I was wrong about this. And so this is why it's so important that you're looking at the sources, that you're validating things on your own and you're not just taking it and then running with it all the time, right? Also know that many times it's going to give you different responses, even if you ask it the exact same question word for word. AI is not Google, all right? And it commonly searches through multiple sources, like I mentioned earlier, before generating a response. So I just wanted to put that out there, that little AI disclaimer for anyone using it, which is probably most of you. You always want to be cautious about the answers that it gives you and then look for validation and legitimate sources. All right, Carlos, anything you want to add to that before I reveal the prompt we used?
Yeah, no, I mean, research. Just research it. And yeah, like Adrian said, look at the sources and see if it's actually valid. Like AI uses a lot of Reddit threads. It uses a lot of things where any one person can have a loud voice. You got to be really careful with that. So just make sure that they're valid sources. Journalistic type sources are great. You'll notice a lot of the valid sources when you look through them.
Exactly. All right, let's jump into part 2 and talk about the prompt that we used. This is the exact prompt that we used to get these results. The only difference is that we originally had 5 trends and we just changed it to 3 for the sake of brevity of this episode to keep it so it's not super long. We're just going to be talking about the top 3, okay? So the prompt is, you are a t-shirt design research expert. Identify best-selling t-shirt designs on Shopify, Etsy, Amazon, and social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. Based on this data, give me the 3 biggest design trends that will dominate print-on-demand sales in 2026. Focus on t-shirt design trends that can work across different niches and be very specific with each design trend. Every design trend should be data backed and based on actual sales. So that was the prompt. We'll include it in the show notes as well so that you can use it. And I was very specific. I said they should be data backed on based on actual sales, but still I recommend you do that extra layer and actually try to data back these yourselves. And we actually did that for all these trends that we're going to be talking about. So let's jump into part 3. Carlos, anything you want to mention about the prompt before we jump to part 3?
No, let's jump in.
All right, let's go. Here we go. Revealing the 3 t-shirt design trends. These are going to be massive. They're already massive and they're going to continue to be massive for this year and surely into 2027. Now, just before I do that, I did want to mention that this is an audio first podcast, so there are no visuals. However, if you do want to see some examples of these trends, I did create a video over on my YouTube channel at adrian.vonarks where you can see examples of these trends. All right. So design trend number 1, this first design trend is an evergreen design trend, meaning it sells well all year, every year. We love our evergreen trends. I like this trend because it's easy to design for, it's easy to stack on pretty much any niche, but there are also a lot of spin-off trends that are selling really well right now that we're going to talk about when we dig a little deeper on this trend. So trend number 1, Claude is calling it retro circular badge / varsity emblem. I'm just going to summarize this and call it varsity designs, okay? Because varsity designs are massive. They're very trendy right now, and they've been trendy for a very long time, and they will be trendy for a very long time. So here's what Claude says about this trend. What it does is actually breaks it down into 2 parts. It gives the format and then why it's cross niche, which I love because we never recommend creating broad appeal designs, right? Take these design trends and stack them onto your niche. This is how you separate yourself from a ton of competition and you create hyper relevant products for your target audience. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go. Here's what Claude says about this trend. The format: a circular badge layout, laurel wreath or ring border, bold collegiate serif or script centerpiece, a fake established year line, distressed / worn texture, 2 to 3 color palette, usually navy / gold or maroon / cream. Okay, let's talk about why it's cross niche. This is what Claude says. Analysis of what's selling on Amazon, Etsy, and Redbubble shows retro athletic badge designs, classic college fonts, varsity letters, laurel wreaths, faded distressed effects remain strong evergreen sellers, and buyers pay a premium for the worn vintage authenticity. This exact template is being reused for sports fans, gym and fitness brands, camps and outdoor programs, family, quote, established shirts, and even corporate merch, because circular badge and emblem layouts are read as symbols of trust and credibility that feel official while staying adaptable to any category. The format doesn't care what's inside the ring. Well, I mean, I don't know. I would kind of push back on that one. Obviously, if it does matter what's on the design because your design dictates your sales. If someone doesn't like it, even if it's jumping on a trend, but it's a crappy design, then it's not going to sell. So anyhow, with that, Carlos, I want to hear your thoughts on we're going to call it the varsity design trend.
Yeah, this trend has been going strong all 2026. And I mean, we're seeing other things with the varsity design trend as well. So like the big varsity letters, but also patterns inside them. Not just solid varsity letters, but like gingham, polka dot, striped, lots of different patterns within the varsity text, a pattern within it. And we have design trend videos. Adrian has design trend videos out there where he shows you exactly how to do the pattern in the text. And we'll link those below as well. But yeah, I kind of going through this, I'm seeing some of those circular emblem ones. I'm not seeing like a ton of those, but I am seeing like the curved text. So the varsity and the curved text as well. And that's another big one with it. It's like not just varsity straight text. I mean, there are a lot with straight text as well, but there's also ones with a curved text too.
Do you mean like a subtle arch?
Subtle arch.
Or like subtle arch.
Subtle arch.
Yeah, not like a full curved around a circle or something.
No, not full curved around the circle. Just a subtle arch so that it has some shape to it.
Yeah, that's what I see too a lot. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. The pattern text designs are massive. So they're using a large blocky varsity style font. And there's a number of these on like Kindle, Canva, whatever you use probably has a blocky varsity font because they're so trendy. And like Carlos said, the patterns inside the letters are really, really popular. And many times they'll have like a white or black border around each of the letters. So we actually found a shirt for new moms featuring that classic college font, and it has a chinoiserie pattern inside the letters. And it had the bestseller badge ever be estimated. It had sold 155 times, and it's only 4 months old. So this is like quite a new design with that varsity style lettering and the pattern text inside. And I would say that that's way more popular from our research than actually seeing this circular emblems. Like, yeah, there are bestseller circular
100%.
emblems for sure.
Yeah.
And they sell really well. But like what we see in our research, we do research every single week on designs, and more commonly we see the varsity style font, and many times it does have that pattern text inside. Now there's another trend that I want to mention for this, like another kind of spin-off trend, and that's varsity style embroidery designs. So we see these on sweatshirts commonly, and we see these on hats a lot. So these designs are usually very simple. Many times they're just purely text-based, and they're just using the trendy varsity font style. So I found a listing, get this, Carlos, it was almost 3 years old, and it was still selling like crazy. When I looked at it, it had made 13 sales in the last 24 hours. And even crazier, Everbee estimates that it actually sold 300 times in the last month and a total of 16,000 times over 3 years. Wow. 16,000 times. And this is just a simple embroidered hat. And if you are doing regular design research on platforms like Etsy and Amazon and even some Shopify stores, you're probably gonna start noticing that kind of college style, varsity style font on a lot of designs because it really resonates with people and it sells really well. The data shows. Hey, if you're getting value out of this podcast, I think you'll love my YouTube channel at adrian.vonarks, which I've linked below. There I drop weekly content and full tutorials on the latest product trends, design trends, and sales strategies to make money online with Shopify and print on demand. Like this podcast, there's no fluff, no BS, and no gatekeeping. Just proven, repeatable strategies and content to make more sales and grow your brand. You can check out my YouTube channel by clicking the link in the show notes below or by going to ecomlegendsacademy.com/YouTube. And now back to the show. All right, let's talk about design trend number 2. Now, this one is interesting. This second trend, it's actually more of a layout style. And once you're aware of it, you're actually gonna see it everywhere. I love this trend because it's so simple to apply to any niche. And that's what we want. We want these trends that we can take onto our niches, and then we can create these really cool, hyper-relevant products for our audience based on design trends that are popular, that people are actually looking for, that people are actually buying. So design trend number 2 is illustration plus typography combo designs. So here's what Claude says about this trend. The format: a single central illustration paired with a short, punchy line of text underneath or wrapped around it, not text alone, not art alone. Why it's cross niche. This is the most directly sales validated format available. After analyzing thousands of trending designs, Printful found the top performing design style blends illustrations with text, combining visual impact with emotional storytelling. The image grabs attention while the words add context and meaning, and their guidance is to pair a visual with a message that adds a clever twist. Because the twist text is infinitely swappable, this format works identically for occupation tees, hobby tees, holiday tees, and pop culture tees. Absolutely. This is like a classic, tried and true, super evergreen design trend. And I'm sure if you're doing a decent amount of designs, you're probably already doing designs like this. But it is interesting to hear what Claude has to say about this. Carlos, before we get into examples, your thoughts?
Yeah, like pretty much any niche, you'll see this. And you'll see bestsellers using this design style, which is just, a simple illustration and some sort of text, either above, below, or above and below. And I think the big thing about this is that sometimes the illustration doesn't speak enough. Sometimes you want to put words in there to have some niche specific language, or you want to really call out something like a feeling or emotion. And I think the biggest thing is words can really call out emotion. And sometimes it's hard to do that just with the image. But when you add the image and the text, then you've got 2 chances to really hit that emotional string or hit that niche specific audience.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think about some classic examples of really popular design trends right now. Like we blank at dawn, we ride at dawn, we thrift at dawn, we read at dawn, we insert niche at dawn. And it features illustration, a central illustration of a frog. And the frog is niche related. So whatever it is, if it's we read at dawn, it's like a frog holding up books or a book or reading a book or something. And that says we read at dawn below. Absolutely crushing right now how across a ton of different niches, this specific design trend, and it's so easy to stack onto pretty much any niche, right? That's just one example. Another one that comes to mind is off to commit blank, off to commit momfoolery. So the first time I saw it, it was off to commit tomfoolery, and it was like a frog on a scooter. Yeah. And that was a bestseller, crushed it, made a ton of sales. And then I saw all these like spin-off designs come with different niches. So off to create momfoolery. I just saw a bestseller that said off to create dadfoolery. It shows like a dad riding a scooter with a backwards hat. Bestseller. Like these designs sell like crazy, and many times they're that simple. It's like a central illustration with text just below it. There was another one, off to regulate emotions. So this one's for the mental health niche. And this is like, I think it was like a goose on a scooter, and it said off to regulate emotions. That one was hilarious. But there was one example that I saw recently that I actually don't know why this is selling so well. I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know if it's like a reference to a show or a movie or a quote. Like, I don't know where it came from, but it's absolutely blowing up. And Carlos, have you seen this design? All plants are edible, some only once. Like, okay, let me just, like, we always like to validate with data, right? We don't want to just take Claude's word for it. So we actually looked into all these trends and we looked for bestseller designs, and we use Everbee for design research as our favorite tool. And so this is what Everbee says about this design. So this all plants are edible, some only once. It shows a central illustration with very cottagecore inspired plants, and then it shows skull and some bones. It says all plants are edible above, and then some only once below. And this design is crazy. Like when I looked at it today, it said it sold 12 times last 24 hours. Everbee estimates it sold 1,800 times, and it's only 2 months old. So when I analyze that listing using Everbee, I like to look at the all-time trends graph to see kind of sales spikes throughout time, but also just to get a general estimate of the revenue numbers. And so Everbee estimates it's done about $24,000 in revenue in just those 2 months. That's revenue, not profit, right? But still, that's crazy. This is like a very viral design right now. And you know what's crazy? I've seen a lot of other versions of this same design, and multiple of them are bestsellers. So there's something about this quote, and I don't know where it came from, but it's super viral. Any thoughts on this particular trend before we jump on to trend number 3?
Yeah, I mean, this is super easy. I'm seeing some popular now shirts, and they just say off to do nurse things. And it's like, it's not even specifying what they are, the nurse things. It's just saying off to do nurse things, off to do mom things, off to do dad things, off to, you can pretty much insert any niche in that, and it has just a goose, and the goose has some nurse things on it, a stethoscope and a coffee.
Yeah, no, I've seen that design. It's like, this is the thing. This is something we always say is like, create for the demand. Find what people want, find what people are buying, find what has mass appeal, and then find a way to create something totally new and original for your particular niche by capitalizing on these trends. This is how we've made so many sales. This is how we've done multiple millions in sales. And this is how our most successful students are doing it too, right? They are capitalizing on design trends, but they're blending them with their niche. And many times they're introducing them to their niche, or it's the first time their audience has seen these, which is really, really cool. One of them actually just surpassed $10,000, and they have been doing really well for themselves. So this is the way. All right, let's talk about trend number 3. This one is absolutely massive. This is probably the largest and most profitable trend of the 3 predicted by Claude. But just before I do that, real quick, I did want to ask you a favor. If you are appreciating these no fluff, no BS podcast episodes, can you please help us out by rating and reviewing the show on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from? It really does go a long way, and it helps us reach more people and have more impact. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we love you guys. Thanks for being here. If you could help us out by liking, subscribing if you're not already subscribed, and let us know that you like these trends episodes by commenting the word trends below. And that helps us direct future episodes based on what you guys like. We want to give you guys what you guys want, right? And this is how we do it. So thank you so much in advance. We really appreciate you guys. All right, without further ado, Carlos, let's get on to this next 3rd design trend. This should come as no surprise. We saved the best for last. So this one has really blown up over the last few years, with many designs becoming bestsellers in their first month. And if you're doing design trend research on Etsy, Amazon, you've definitely seen this trend. Trend number 3 is the bootleg 90s photo collage designs. That's what Claude calls it. We just call it bootleg designs, but Claude calls it bootleg 90s photo collage designs, which is a good way of describing these,
very descriptive,
to be fair.
Yeah.
But if you just go and Google bootleg t-shirt, or if you go on Etsy and type in bootleg, like, you'll see a ton of these. So here's what Claude says about this trend. The format: heavy film grain texture, 2 to 4 overlapping photos, chunky metallic or graffiti style bold text, oversized off-center print placement, visually lifted from vintage rap tour merch and mixtape covers. Why it's cross-niche. This started as a music/streetwear format, but Etsy's bestsellers data shows it's now applied everywhere. Best-selling bootleg t-shirts on Etsy include custom pet shirts, personalized 90s photo collage designs for girlfriends, custom vintage pet portraits with rap tee styling, and personalized vintage photo and year birthday shirts. The same visual template, grain, collage, metallic type, is selling as pet memorials, birthday gifts, couples shirts, and grandparent tees. One report notes bootleg designs used to live in a smaller lane and now shows up across couples, pets, birthdays, graduations, and family gifts. This is the single clearest one format, infinite niches case in the data. Yeah, I totally second what Claude says here. These are just absolutely crushing right now as we speak. And the bootleg, there's actually kind of 2 different styles of bootleg designs. There's like the classic style, and then there's this new one that's really blown up in 2026 that we're going to get into. But Carlos, is there anything you want to say before we get into examples?
Yeah, so I like how Claude mentioned photo collage designs. And I think another thing that we should mention here, that a lot of them that we're seeing are custom. The customer sends in the photos and those photos get added onto the design. It's the same layout, same template probably in the back end, but customers are sending in their photos. So they're custom, they're personalized. And a lot of them are made for gifts, like gifting to people. So like family photos on a shirt, friend photos on the shirt, or maybe they're pets on the shirt, right? But a lot of them are gifts and a lot of them are personalized.
Totally. Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that that's very, very important. Like, absolutely, there are best sellers that are not personalized designs for bootleg. But if you look at the design research, many of the best sellers are personalized. And it makes sense because, like Carl said, it's for gifting. If I want to give someone a pet shirt and I can get a bunch of photos of their pet and put it on, that's gonna be super personalized and they're gonna love that, right? Because they probably love their pet.
And do you know what I like about this? I just want to mention this one thing.
Yeah, sure.
What I like about this design style is that it's kind of like how people used to do the gifting where they'd just get a picture and then put it on a shirt. Right? A picture of that person and just put it on the shirt, or a picture of themselves if it's a boyfriend or girlfriend, and just put it on the shirt. That's kind of like the old school way of doing it. This is kind of like the new way of doing it, where it's actually looks cool and it looks like they're almost like famous, like something like rap style CD cover or something like that.
That's so true. That's really, really true. So let's talk about the data here. So this is interesting. I went into Etsy and I just searched the term bootleg, and everybody shows me that there's currently 3,500 monthly searches just for the term bootleg and 3,300 monthly searches for the term bootleg shirt, signaling very, very strong demand. But like I mentioned earlier, this is particularly interesting, this trend, because there's 2 different style of bootleg design layouts. If you go and you filter by bestseller, you're going to see the 2 different styles. There's like the original classic style and then a newer style, both of which are dominating sales in 2026. But the newer style, it really started picking up early in the year. That was actually when I first started noticing it, and it's absolutely taken off. So let's talk about those 2 different styles briefly. So style number 1, the classic bootleg style t-shirt. So an example of this would be your classic dog t-shirt, like the one with like 4 or 5 photos of your dog on it, and then it has like your dog's name. And I was actually looking at one of these that was estimated to have made 885 sales and $13,000 in revenue in the last month from one single bootleg t-shirt, custom personalized dog t-shirt. It's estimated to have sold nearly 47,000 times since it was listed about 2.5 years ago, and generated nearly $700,000 in revenue over the 29 months that it's been listed. Wild, right? Absolutely insane. Let's talk about example number 2. 2. So here's another example, and this is the same classic style. So this is a bootleg style girlfriend t-shirt. So this would be a gift that someone would get for their partner, where they get a bunch of photos of their girlfriend, slap them on this shirt, and then have their name on it or something like that. And one of these I was looking at, it was estimated to have made 791 sales and $22,000 in revenue just in the last month. It's estimated to have generated over 6 figures, over $100,000 in revenue since it was listed 19 months ago, so less than 2 years ago. But here's what's interesting. Nearly all those sales were made in 2026. In January 2026, this was interesting. I was looking at the long-term sales data for this one in Everbee. It said in January 2026, the shirt is estimated to have sold 10 times. 10 times. Get this, Carlos. The next month, in February, that amount spiked to over 500 sales, and it's remained above 500 sales every single month since February. So that's the first classic style. Those are 2 examples. Let's talk about style number 2. I call this bootleg 2.0. So I told you about the classic style. This one is absolutely huge right now. This is a big one to jump on. And these commonly feature grayscale images with gold color text behind them. If you're doing a lot of design research, you probably know what I'm talking about. They probably just clicked. You're like, oh yeah, I see those everywhere, right? So this one was interesting. There was like a dog one, like a personalized dog one. It showed this dog and its name was Cooper, and it showed the personalized image with the gold color text behind it. Its name was in gold color text. It sold 41 times in the last 24 hours as of today. Like I went on today, and that's what Etsy said. It sold 41 times in the last 24 hours. And Everbee estimates it sold 2,500 times, and it's only 4 months old. This is the bootleg 2.0 style. It's newer, it's massive like the classic style, and it's a massive opportunity in 2026, still to this day. I want to give you one more example, and then I'm going to hand over to you, Carlos. This one was a dad-focused one. This absolutely blew up for Father's Day because I was following it very, very closely. So this one showed a personalized image of 2 children. So this would be, someone sends their photo of 2 kids, and it said best dad ever behind it in gold text, and it was stacked a couple times. So it said that text stacked a couple times. This design today, when I checked it out, it sold 13 times last 24 hours, and it's estimated to have sold, get this, Carlos, over 10,000 times in just 3 months. Over 10,000 times in just 3 months. I know that a ton of those sales were from Father's Day, but someone who had this clever idea, let's take this bootleg 2.0 design trend style and stack it onto the dad niche. And by the way, let's release this in time for Father's Day. They absolutely cleaned up, they absolutely cashed in. It's estimated to have made $93,000 in revenue in 3 months. And that is the power of stacking current design trends with profitable niches. Carlos, over to you.
Yeah, I mean, looking at bootleg 1.0, it looks like stickers, right? It's like you cut out the person's image and you put it on, and it's like it's like a collage, right? But the 2.0, it's more like it's blended in. It looks more natural, and it's a little bit more subtle too, because it's that grayscale effect. I really like the 2.0. I like the 2.0 better, actually. More subtle, easier to wear.
Yeah, the classic one is very loud, and I don't think it's for everyone. I think some people would be like, oh, this makes me look like famous or something. I don't know. Whereas the other one's more subtle, and I really like a lot of the best sellers have the vintage washed out effect applied, which looks super cool, and it contrasts really well on pepper t-shirts, Comfort Colors t-shirts in the color pepper. That's by far the #1 selling color for bootleg 1.0 and bootleg 2.0, and it contrasts really well with that particular trend, the vintage washed out trend. Yep. So with that, let's just summarize those 3 trends. So the 3 trends that Claude predicted to blow up in 2026, and we backed this with data, were 1, retro circular badge / varsity emblems. We're just gonna call these varsity designs, varsity style designs. Trend number 2, illustration plus typography combo designs. And then trend number 3, bootleg 90s photo collage designs. We're just gonna call it bootleg 1.0 and bootleg 2.0. With that, we're gonna sign off. Thank you so much for listening. Guys, remember, start before you're ready, take imperfect action, and know you're always one design away.
Hey, if you're loving the Print on Demand podcast and want more, please help us out by rating this on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you're listening from. It only takes a minute, and this is one of the best ways to support the show and let us know that you're enjoying these weekly episodes. Thank you in advance, and we'll talk soon.